So welcome on in to another episode of DCU Daily. As always, we have a lot to talk about. We're going to get into the Clayface story towards the end, but we have to start off by talking about a bunch of other things from the world of DC. To do that with me today, as always, I've got not only John, but also Liz. I usually ask this question to John all the time, but Liz, since you are here today, I wanted to ask you, of the DC stories that you saw on the show rundown, which ones excited you the most?
If I can remember them all. I mean, I'm really excited about the new the alliance that has been made, the world peace that has now settled over the lands, and we can all come together and just unite as fans and loved ones, and just move on to the next chapter.
My sweet summer child. It's cute of you to think that this is going to cause world peace instead of more anger. But let's not get into that just yet. We got to wait for the official page for Dan to pop up real quick.
I mean, John, is that your favorite story of the day?
I'm excited for all the comic stuff that only I'm going to be talking about because Liz has no idea what we're going to be talking about.
Yep, 100%.
Again, I don't mean to sound like a tick. You're just like, I got nothing to add.
It's true.
I got nothing to add.
You're not wrong.
I like how Jalen showed up right at the perfect time. In case he's like, I already know what we're talking about. I just love Caleb. Caleb, you are really, like Liz was saying earlier, he's on fire
today. He's on fire tonight.
And you know what? Pandemonium in the streets. It's chaos everywhere. Cats and dogs sleeping together. Mass hysteria has a hit because That's James Gunn and Zack Snyder came together and took a photo. And James Gunn posted about it saying, always a pleasure catching up with my friend Zack Snyder, consummate filmmaker and a doubly consummate storyteller. Guys, the dark times are over. It's just world peace is here,
and the villagers rejoiced.
We can put our pitchforks down and just go to sleep and not have to worry about somebody coming after us in the dark of the night.
But you know what's wild? The Snyderverse folks are so nuts that now they're gonna come for Zack Snyder himself.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like
the ultimate irony. I'm like,
so they're nuts. Get a life, gang. Get a life. Wild.
Yeah, it's like it's like they're holding on to the idea of Snyder because it's like they're probably gonna get mad at this, or like they're gonna spin this on James somehow. They're like, he swindled him, he brainwashed him, he hypnotized him with his James.
He promised him a directorial episode and something. Yeah. Gang.
Yeah, it's Caleb. James Gunn. That was Zack Snyder's evil twin that likes James Gunn, or it was photoshopped.
Yeah, I mean, the Watchers like Zack being there isn't a coincidence. Gunn had meetings with James Watkins and Zack the very same day Watkins was announced for Clayface. I mean, I don't know. It's is it a coincidence? Is it not a coincidence? I mean, you look at some of the comments here. 2 ghosts in one image. We love to see it. People liking it. 20 years. We finally have a second picture of you guys together. Speaking of which, I actually pulled up another image here, which is, hey, you recognize this room like the Watcher hinting at it. There's a lot of work going on, you know, in this room in the past, guys. Are you surprised? Well, let me put it to you, John. Is it a coincidence? I mean, Zack Snyder does work on the Warner Brothers lot again. He's been working on the 300 TV series. James Gunn obviously has, you know, his offices on the lot. Do you think it was just a matter of they just ran into each other, or like, you know, Zack Snyder was like, let me go see what they're working on over there at DC, or is there something more to it, considering that, you know, we've seen photos.
It's AI generated.
It's AI generated. I think it was just, you know, Zack Snyder coming in and maybe he was working on something else at WB and he wanted to, you know, come in and be like, hey, take a picture, guys. And that's it. Nothing crazy or anything like that. I don't think he's back. I think he wants to be fully divorced from DC at this point. I don't think he wants to continue in any way.
He did say if he were to come back, he would want to work on the Dark Knight Returns, like just a direct.
Because apparently that's the only Batman comic that exists to Zack Snyder. No other Batman comics exist. But I mean, that I said that's the only thing that I don't think anything else is going to bring him back. I know he's friendly with James Gunn, and that's cool. But I think I don't think he's going to direct anything DC. I think that's just not from like a business point of view, just from Zack Snyder just wants to move on. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's theory alert in the chat. Jalen Harris saying
that
Zack Snyder does The Authority and James writes it, the ultimate collaboration. I mean, the last time they collaborated, that was kind of it. Like Zack Snyder directed Army of the Dead and James Gunn wrote that movie. That was really early in the
Dawn
career.
of the Dead, not Army.
Dawn of the Dead. Never mind. Dawn of the Dead. I apologize. And that's kind of around the time when we got that other photo from. So now we have a sequel to that photo. Maybe, maybe the project that James Gunn is
it's part of the mirror universe because it's mirror. James Gunn's on the left and he's on the right, so it's the mirror universe.
And they have aged and their hairlines have rescinded. I don't know.
Salt and pepper, the receded, gray, all that fun stuff.
It's just, I'm so glad that the world peace is here. We don't have to fight over stuff anymore.
All we are saying it's just, is kumbaya. Give peace a chance. Anyway.
But hey, you know what? James Gunn has been busy, as we know, and I feel like we've been missing James Gunn on the show for the last little while, but he's been active recently. Of course, not only posting the photo with Zack Snyder, but as you can see here on the screen, he recently posted that he was bowled over to see this cameo cover of the new Superman Unlimited #1. We've been talking about it recently, the All-In series. They've been, redoing and basically introducing new comic book lines for a lot of different characters. We're going to talk about that as the show goes on. But yeah, I mean, look, James Gunn right there alongside David Cornsweet's Superman. You can get a hold of this cover for yourself on May 21st in a local comic book shop near you. What are your thoughts on this, guys? Are you liking what you're seeing here? And an alternate cover that James Gunn and David Cornsweet will be a part of. Somebody actually grabbed hold of it and even gave us a little look on the inside of the different covers that you could potentially get a hold of.
Very cool.
Thoughts?
Very cool. I like them. Very nice.
You got crypto in there.
I like the one on the left in the middle. That looks really like powerful. I like that a lot.
Yeah. I love that too. I love it too. I mean, this looks interesting, but this is not the only one that we're going to be talking about today. Of course, somebody out there made a fan poster which sort of emulates the Superman Returns poster, except now it's got the David Cornsweet suit with obviously the trunks and the logo. I love fan posters because it's an expression of how much we love these franchises. Do you guys feel like this is an improvement upon what we got from the Brendan Routh movie and that original poster?
I mean, it's a modern version of it. I
like it. It's cool. I know it's gonna bring he looks like Jesus. It's annoying. But it looks cool. Yeah. I mean I think the Superman Returns suit is one of those suits that's like almost good, but I hate how it's like this logo is so small and it's like maroon for some reason. But like outside of that, it's a decent suit. But I like how, we see like this version, like you could tell it's an edit. The fucking logo looks kind of weird, but outside of that, it looks good.
It's not the best imitation of a poster, but it's a good one. I mean, Enterprising saying it's a Photoshop Superman Returns poster. If I ever saw one, yes, it is. I just thought like from a symbolism standpoint, I appreciate it. I appreciate the imagery.
Yeah, I like it.
Caleb is like, let's not do the Jesus comparisons. Totally get it. The next piece of news that I wanted to get into is regarding another comic book series that DC just announced. There's a brand new Supergirl series coming our way. It's written and drawn by Sophie Campbell. John, I want to get your thoughts on this. Are you looking forward to it? Do you feel like this is great? I mean, great timing considering there's a new Supergirl movie on the horizon that they want to kind of tie it together. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, could be fun. I don't know Sophie Campbell. I'm not really familiar with her stuff, but cool. I mean, that's what it seems like they're doing. They usually greenlight a lot of stuff to help boost like some awareness of the movies, even though nobody fucking reads comics anymore. But they're hoping that like,
I mean, we of course encourage you to go do that.
Maybe this time, I don't mind the Supergirl crop top. I think depending it can look good. But they're like, oh hey, look, if you like the Supergirl movie, check out this,
Exactly.
miniseries we've had, and you don't have to read any previous shit. You could just read this, and yeah, that's.
I mean, figure drawing saying correctly, and no one reads regular books either. Well, actually, that's not entirely true, but there is a significantly smaller percentage of us in general reading books these days. Enterprising starting to be back in the 90s. I'm sorry, not Enterprising. Jalen, Enterprising putting in great comments, but Jalen has a question for us. Why do you think there's such a divide between pro and anti trunks with Superman? Because I see videos of people saying that Superman shouldn't have the trunks in this day and age. It's a good question. Caleb's team trunks forever. Hugo Millie, by the way, in the chat. Hello, Hugo, saying Supergirl's skin is her armor. Let her be in the crop top, man. She's fine. Hello, Hugo. So, what do you think about the question from Jalen? By the way, do you think
I think
there's a reason why the
stupid.
trunks divide?
I think there's a lot of people that are dumb. That's all I'll say about that.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I think what you're seeing here, the artwork isn't necessarily what we're gonna get in the comic book series. Right. It's just artwork that somebody put together for this graphic. But hey, we're getting a new Supergirl series. But that's not the only thing we're getting, potentially, because we've been recently the last couple of days talking about Sergeant Rock. Daniel Craig has dropped out, or I guess he was never officially signed on for Sergeant Rock. But it looks like while they are searching for their new lead, and potentially Jeremy Allen White is being courted for the role of the lead in Sergeant Rock, the Luca Guadagnino movie, Mikey Madison of Honora fame, hot off the awards circuit, she's probably going to win the Oscar. She is now being reported. This is coming to us from updates for DC. Take it with a grain of salt. It's not confirmed. It's not coming from a super reliable source, but they're reporting that Mikey Madison might be in talks to play Mademoiselle Marie, who's a French resistance fighter and essentially plays Sergeant Rock's love interest in the movie. What are your thoughts? Do you think this would be a good fit? Do you believe it?
I don't believe this for a second. I mean, it's like we're still in the idea of is this fucking movie even real? I don't know. I still don't believe it. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. I think that's a jump, considering oh, this chick's popular. She's nominated for stuff. Let's have her in the fucking MCU or the DCU before the MCU takes her. So it's I don't believe that.
Look, I don't know how accurate this report is, but Mikey Madison is clearly a very talented actress. She's going to be coming off potentially a big Oscar win. She's already picked up a bunch of other awards this year. I think it would be a big pickup, a big get for DC if they were to bring her in for Sergeant Rock, and she would definitely, be getting into a franchise where she potentially could play the role for many movies to come. So, from a career standpoint, this might be a good turn for her, but also from DC's perspective, you're potentially getting an Oscar-winning actress on board. So that you can never really go wrong with that. I think with just adding talent to your team. But let's see just how true this story is as the news on just the whole Sergeant Rock situation progresses, because right now there's a lot of ifs, then, buts, maybes, but we haven't really gotten any official confirmation. So let's see what James Gunn eventually says, and then the movie becomes even official, because right now everybody's been reporting it, but James Gunn hasn't said anything about it. So I'm sure the contracts haven't been signed, the script hasn't been greenlit. Until that happens, casting, I think it's good to have names in mind and people being considered, but let's not hang ourselves over that. So, John, today we're really talking about the DC comics, as well as, of course, DC on the big screen and the small screen. Speaking of DC comics, we were talking about Superman and Supergirl. Batman is also being relaunched this year with a new suit, a new symbol, and a new version of Gotham City to match. Artist Jorge Jimenez is returning to the title. Jorge Jimenez is returning to the title and joining in for this epic new start. And he's a fan favorite writer, bringing in Matt Fraction to write, the new comic book series.
Never heard of him, but I'm sure he's fine.
It's gonna be called Batman #1. What are your thoughts on this so far? I mean, I picked out a couple of different posts talking about this. It looks interesting to me when you look at, again, just a different look to the character. You're getting more of that blue that you've been wanting to see in live action.
Yeah, I want to see the blue. I don't know about his logo being blue, but I think it could be interesting. Like, is he going to a new city, or is it going to be like Gotham City?
Is Gotham City, but it's a different depiction than maybe what we're used to.
Okay, so is it canon, or is this an Elseworlds?
It is Batman #1. I imagine this is the new current canon, I guess, right? Like this is
okay. I'm curious with what like the new Gotham City would look like. I hope it's not like, oh, we're gonna make it Metropolis, but like not, and it's like okay, or something stupid like that. But you know, whatever it be, I'm sure it'll be pretty good.
Yeah. So
I like the
basically,
look. I think the look. I don't know. It's just like it just looks so weird. The logo being light blue, but outside of that, it looks great.
Jalen Harris saying, "Gray and the blue. The man from Gotham wore the blue. Gray and the blue. Another retcon. My goodness, enterprising. I mean, we got Jose in the chat, John. What do you think about the logo here, John?
I think it's overall a good logo. It's kind of reminiscent of I think it's reminiscent a little bit of the Ben Affleck logo, like not totally, but it kind of reminds me of that, like a thicker Batman one. It's not like the fucking absolute Batman. I'm sorry, I just can't get over that. Like it just looks like a brick with spikes on it. But I know some people like it, so it's whatever. But yeah, I like this look. I like the blue look. Like blue will always be better to black. And you know, I think this looks really good. I don't know if I'll read it. And we do get the trunks again. We do get Batman trunks again. I don't know how great. I don't know how great it will be. I don't know if I'm gonna read it, but for the people that do, I think they'll enjoy it. Hopefully they'll enjoy it. But yeah, whatever it is. Cool.
Yeah, I'm liking the new logo. The blue will vary. I think if you're gonna ever bring that to screen, then it would depend on what kind of story you decide to tell, right? So that will be interesting. But no, in the meantime, guys, pick up the comic book, read it. I mean, Absolute Batman has been one of the hottest thing in comic books in general for months now. And Jalen Harris saying DC Comics have been in fire lately. Hosea in the chat. Hello, Hosea saying I like it more than Batfleck's pregnant symbol. Interesting take. Figure drawing mentioning earlier, Jorge Jimenez is a top 5 living comic book artist. Agree with you there. Jalen Harris excited for finally getting a gray and blue suit. A blue symbol is something that Enterprising potentially likes. Jalen Harris saying you love to see it. Enterprising saying it reminded me of some of those animated movies that people forgot about. Yes. And then Caleb, I mean, yes, I think being tired of an all-black Batman suit, this is something different that the fans have clearly been asking for, and looks like we're finally getting some of it. So I'm interested in seeing, just how good it is. I'll go pick it up and give it a read. And we recommend that you do too. In the meantime, Brendan Sklenar has been campaigning and continues to campaign to potentially play Batman. And in most recently, he was doing an interview for one of his upcoming projects. He mentioned that I just think I would crush that role, and I'd love to do it if it ever happens. Remember, previously he said something along the likes of, "I'm built for it, so it would be a dream role." And now he's saying, "I would crush that role, and I would love to do it if it ever happens." What are your thoughts on this? Do you feel like this will actually ever happen? Or do you think this is just like, when Alan Ritchson was publicly campaigning to be the next Batman that, maybe Brendan Sklenar is shooting his shot here?
I think he's just kind of throwing it out there. I don't think it'll happen. I think he could be good for the role. I like his look, and from what little acting I've seen him from. But I mean, it's, in terms of people campaigning certain actors for certain roles, it's one of the ones that I don't see like literally the only time I've seen Brandon Sklenar like showcase is when I'm on this show, is the people in the comments. I rarely see it out in the wild. So maybe like a couple people, but it's mostly the top two are like Jensen Ackles and Alan Ritchson. Those are like the biggest ones for Batman. And personally, I don't see it, but I think this guy could be a good choice. It's just like I don't have a ton to say because I haven't seen him in anything except like maybe a bit part in a movie I don't remember, and like the trailer
he's a
for
rising
Drop,
star right
so,
now.
So he hasn't been in a ton.
He was just in It Ends With Us, and now he's coming out in The Drop. So his fame is building, but I don't see him as Batman. I could see him as a role in the film or in a TV show or something like that, but I don't as of right now, he still doesn't give out main character energy for me. So I mean, but also, like, what man doesn't want to be Batman? So like, we're going to hear this from at some point. Austin Butler's going to say he wants to be Batman. At some point, The Rock is going to say he wants to be Batman. I mean, every single one of these actors that has a little bit of muscle tone to them is going to say, "Oh, I can play Batman." Okay, well, but you're not gonna. So
look, earlier
he's
earlier in the show,
shot, for sure.
Yeah, like, we've been talking about James Bond. Like, earlier in the show, we spent almost an hour talking about James Bond. And when it comes to one of the roles in Hollywood, right alongside James Bond, you would say Batman. Like, playing Batman is one of the most sought after roles in the entirety of entertainment, like Hollywood and otherwise. So I'm not surprised that he's shooting a shot. Obviously, I think he has the acting ability. He's got the build for it. Lizz, we did verify that he is indeed tall enough. He is 6'2". So I think
that's important.
He checks that box. Not that you have to be 6 feet. I mean, Christian Bale was a great Batman. He's not 6'2". Liz said no big D energy. Yeah, figure drawing. You called her out. Hosea saying I'd still pick Reacher over this guy, but I can have my mind change.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, thank you.
Look, I think as far as the nuances of like the acting ability, like, can you pull off a great Bruce Wayne? I will say, the idea of Alan Ritchson kind of bringing that Reacher vibe to the Batman and Bruce Wayne character kind of has been growing on me over time, because we sort of saw a little bit of that, like a brute force sort of an approach that Ben Affleck took. But Ben Affleck is the best actor amongst those three names, so
and you
it's
don't
hard
need to pad that suit either.
Fair.
I mean, David Cornsweet didn't need to pad his suit either, so
yeah, clearly, especially in certain areas. But I mean, look, Brendan Sklenar shooting a shot. I'm interested to see if this is something that gets past James Gunn, or if he's even considered it. Look, as far as we know so far, they haven't even started getting close to casting for this role, because they don't have a completed script for the movie yet. And, until that happens, whether it is still, Andy Muschietti or not, they're not going to start casting for the role, because it doesn't look like Batman is making a live action cameo in either Superman or Supergirl. So, and of course, we could be surprised, but Brendan Sklenar, he's officially putting his name out there. This is 2 times now in interviews that he's mentioned he would love to do it. And obviously, I'm sure he's going to get continued. People are going to keep asking him this question now, continuing to ask him about, like, do you want to play Batman? And every time he says something about it, I'm sure we'll talk about it. We just have to see if that leaves an impression on the folks at DC who are making the decision. So in the meantime, Clayface, we mentioned earlier that that will be the big topic in terms of DC news today. Clayface has finally found its director, James Watkins. Now, John, the last time we talked about this, James Watkins was set to go in and basically pitch his vision for the script that Mike Flanagan has written. And it looks like that meeting went well. Earlier, we were talking about world peace. It looks like the same day that James Watkins went in to, essentially went the same day that Zack Snyder went into James Gunn's office, and they took that photo together that, created everlasting peace in the world of comic books, movies and TV shows and all of the land of comics. That was the same day that James Watkins went in and pitched his version of the movie based on the script that, of course, has already been written by Mike Flanagan. And it looks like he got the job. James Watkins of Speak No Evil fame will direct DC Studios' Clayface. The movie has already got a release date set for September 11, 2026. We don't know if they've cast anybody for the movie yet, at least not officially. And while we know that there's a script there that is completed, greenlit, and James Gunn is behind it, Mike Flanagan has officially been, they've announced all of those details, and we were just missing the director. You usually want to bring the director in before you start casting. So I want to start by asking you, John, what do you think about James Watkins as the man that they've chosen to move forward with? We had heard there were a couple other names in consideration. It looks like they found their guy. Do you agree with the choice? What do you think about a James Watkins directed Clayface?
I'm open to it. I became a little bit more open to it when I heard like the rumored other people. I'm like, oh Jesus Christ. And the thing is, it makes sense because Speak No Evil was like a big surprise hit. A lot of people were like, "Oh, this is actually good." I don't agree, but most people liked it, so that's something. And I did say, I have heard Eden Lake is a good movie. I mean, that would be interesting. I don't think he will though. Um, I Eden Lake is one of those movies where I've seen a lot of bits and pieces from it. I know the ending, and it just like doesn't rub me the right way. Like in terms of like horror, and that's saying something for me personally. Um, but I did really like Woman in Black. I thought that movie was excellent, and he did not write that movie. He only directed it, and I believe that's the only horror movie he only directed, and that's the best thing I've seen from him. So that's my hope, is that we're going to get something Woman in Black, as something as good as Woman in Black. So I'm open to it, and we do have such a strong writer with Mike Flanagan, who's, excellent. So obviously we'll see. I'm not totally like, oh my God, this is gonna be the greatest thing ever. When I thought Mike Flanagan was directing it, I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be the greatest thing ever. But the fact that someone like James Watkins is directing it, I'm like, okay, let's see rather than let's fucking go, But I know Mike Flanagan has his fucking plate filled with shit. Like he's got like 6 Stephen King adaptations and like 3 other movies and like 2 other shows, and it's like the man has a full plate. So all right, let's see what he can do. I'm not like, oh my God, let's go, or like, oh God, this is the worst thing ever. But I'm
yeah.
Yeah.
In the comments, everybody's like,
yes,
talking about James McAvoy. Yes, Scoot McNairy was the man in the wheelchair in BVS, by the way. A lot of you guys wanting to see potential. I mean, Magical Sky Wizard wants to see Anthony Starr, which yesterday we had James McAvoy and Anthony Starr both as potential choices for Constantine. So ironically enough, but I mean, yeah, James McAvoy, a lot of you guys like the idea of him taking on the role of Clayface. He, of course, was the lead in Speak No Evil. So yeah, and I know Enterprising saying, yep, let's move on to the next step. Like, what do we do next? We're going to cast the actor now. Yes, and Hosea missed the part where, we declared world peace because James Gunn and Zack Snyder took a photo together and complimented each other. At least James Gunn complimented Zack Snyder. We haven't seen anything from Zack Snyder about it. But yes, so world peace in the world of DC Comics, hopefully. The Watcher suggesting Anthony Starr as Reverse Flash. Caleb suggesting, hear me out, Bill Skarsgård as Scarecrow.
Hey,
it would.
I'll take it over him as the fucking Joker. Like, I'll take it. I think he would do a great job there.
He would do good as a Joker too, but.
I'm just so sick of people like, he played a clown, let's have him play another clown. Right. It's like,
right.
All right, that's not really inspired.
Fair. That's fair.
Well, Liz, let me ask you this: did you watch?
Would he do a good job? I think so, but it's very different. Yeah. It's not just him playing a clown.
I sure did watch Speak No Evil. I surely did.
So, seeing that obviously this is the same director, James Watkins directed Speak No Evil, does that give you any level of insight considering what you know about Creature Commandos and the character of Clayface now that you familiarize yourself a little bit more with, like, we've been talking about him for months? Is it a good fit?
If we're talking about James McAvoy or if we're talking about the director, I don't know that I've seen anything else that he's done, but Speak No Evil I thought was very good. It was, the pacing was good in that film. If we're talking about James McAvoy, the man can do no wrong. He's also a smoke show. But he, as we know, he can also tackle multiple accents. So for playing a character that switches roles and can turn into other people, he's already done it. So we know
that makes sense for him.
We know he's fully capable and could handle that. But we'll see. I think this is a very, Speak No Evil was a very original film, original script and concept. So
as much as a remake can be, but yes.
but this is something that has been fleshed out for a while now. Like, we're familiar with this character, we're familiar with this storyline. So people are obviously going to have feelings about it one way or the other. But we'll see what happens. I think everybody's just excited to finally get a Clayface project in general. So hopefully there's just going to be, good stuff from now on.
It just
Yeah,
like I'm just it just for me personally, I see a lot of fan casting. I see so much fan casting from a lot of people,
right.
and I see the same things over and over again. It's very tiring. Like Anthony Starr as Reverse Flash, Bill Skarsgård as the Joker, Willem Dafoe as the Joker. Now, I'm sure these guys would be great. It's just seeing them so much. It's just like, just be a little bit more creative. Like, I don't know, fucking Johnny Depp as the Joker. I don't know, like just like something more creative than that.
Before we move on, I wanted to kind of mention again, just because Liz, we haven't had this conversation yet. They released a bit of a summary about what they essentially are thinking this movie is going to be based on the script. According to sources, I mean, not only does the movie have a pretty modest budget of $40 million, it's also being considered a Hollywood horror tale that centers on a B-movie actor who injects himself with a substance. And of course, a lot of people have been comparing it to the movie The Substance to keep himself relevant, you know, like Demi Moore does in the movie. Although, again, the Clayface story is older than the movie's The Substance, but nonetheless, I'm sure comparisons will be had. Only to find out, you know, this person, once he takes a substance, that he can reshape his face and form, which is similar to what we saw in the Batman the Animated Series version of Clayface from late 90s, early 2000s. So now it essentially becomes a walking piece of clay. So it can get a little fantastical, but I mean, for $40 million, I wonder just how much VFX work they're going to be able to do. Also, so far, what we know is that the movie is set to shoot later this year and is meant to show the breadth of DC material. This is something we were talking about earlier this week. It was being highlighted that, you know, DC really wants to showcase, Peter Safran, James Gunn really want to showcase that, hey, DC will do, you know, big budget superhero stuff like Superman and Supergirl, like where they're spending $150-200 million. And then on the other end of the spectrum, they want to take on these lesser known characters and then bring them into projects where they're more modestly budgeted, but at the same time, still, you know, have a great story. Like this will be more of a horror movie. What do you think about just all these little details we know so far, even though we obviously don't know a ton about the very specific plot? Knowing what you know, does that bode well for you, considering especially coming out of September?
I mean, it makes sense.
Is it going to make money?
I mean, it's definitely going to make money. Again, fans have been excited about the prospects of a Clayface project, and now it looks like it's definitely happening. So everybody's really pumped about it. There's going to be butts in seats for sure, especially for people like me who are not familiar with the character, aside from, you know, what we got that little bit in Creature Commandos. And again, the fact that they're going kind of like more of like a horror route with the character, again, fits this director very well. So, I mean, I'm all for it. It all sounds like good stuff to me. So why not? Let's do this thing.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's very, I think it's, you know, interesting. It just, as I've been saying, like it, you know, it's, as you were saying, it's like taking risks. It's taking we're trying to do different things. It's like, we're not trying to have like superhero fatigue, you know?
Yeah.
We're trying to like broaden various things and various ideas when it comes to these projects, because we just don't want like the same stuff over and over again. And then people get tired because it's like superhero movies are going to be around for a while. Even if they like die down, we don't get cinematic universes anymore, all that shit, they're still going to be around. They're like, it's still a genre. It's just, they won't be as popular as they are now, or at least like 5-10 years ago. But I don't think we're ever going to go back to the place of like, you know, like the 80s where we got like nothing except for like a couple, you know, Superman sequels, and that's kind of it. So yeah, I think this could be interesting, but I'm still more cautious about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll see. That's all we can do. They're making decisions without us, so see what happens.
Cool. So thanks for watching, I guess. DCU Day. Hello. Thanks for watching DCU Daily.